Well, folks, take a look at the supply lines across the world, like global shipping lanes. And what you see is that those shipping lanes are very much open to attack from America's enemies, which is why when we cut our own military, we got a real problem on our hands. According to the Wall Street Journal, as a U.S.-led multinational task force steamed toward the Middle East to protect one of the world's vital shipping lanes, the Houthi rebels vowed to retaliate if attacked. Yet despite rising tensions in the Red Sea on Wednesday, traders reacted with relative calm, even as shipping companies diverted more cargoes to alternative routes. While the threat of more severe disruption persists, the response of energy markets has been muted compared with dramatic moves in prices sparked by some other past outbreaks of violence in the Middle East. Well, yeah, I mean, if you compare it's like 1973, of course, because there's a giant oil embargo from like Saudi Arabia. But the reality of the situation is that when you have, again, ragtag Houthi pirates in inflatables with drones who are holding up one of the key choke points for global trade, that is a serious problem. And it's not just a serious problem because of what's happening in the Red Sea. It's a serious problem because once states that hate the United States, once countries that have interests adverse to our own, realize that they can drive America off the ball in the area of freedom of the seas, they can really affect the global economy in significant and severe ways. So I want to show you a map. This is a map of maritime choke points across the world. And a lot of people don't think about exactly how the stuff that you want gets to you. But the reality is that there are these choke points, places where a huge percentage of trade actually moves. So if you can't see the map, there are, again, a bunch of things labeled on this map I'll try to describe for you. Places that trade moves, and these are bottlenecks, like places that very often are close to nations that are adversarial to the United States. So the number one choke point, the primary choke point for Asia, is a place called the Strait of Malacca. It is very close to China and has the ability, if you close it, to really affect China's economy. Alternatively, because it's very close to China, you could see China attempt to make aggressive moves in the Strait of Malacca. It accounts for about 25% of all traded goods and a third of all seaborne oil. And that is a choke point. Another choke point, the Taiwan Straits. So when China is threatening Taiwan, they are also threatening the Taiwan Straits, which is a place where a lot of trade moves. If you look at, for example, the Strait of Hormuz, this is one of the areas that Iran is currently threatening. 30% of all oil traded on the world's oceans passes through the Strait of Hormuz, because it moves from the Middle East and down through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which is another place where a lot of oil moves, and then up through the Suez Canal. Again, all these places threatened by Iran and Iranian proxies. So you have China, which is threatening like the Taiwan Straits and the Strait of Malacca, and you have Middle Eastern countries adversarial to America, like Iran, threatening the Strait of Hormuz, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the Suez Canal, forcing people to travel all the way around the southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, which is a much longer trip. It increases all of your prices. What this really means is that, again, if America does not guarantee freedom of the seas, then what you're going to end up with is a cratered global economy at the behest of countries that hate the United States and seek to curb our power. And the Chinese are seeing the weakness. The holidays are here. The last thing you need during this busy time of year is to miss out on a great night's sleep. That is why my team uses Beam's Dream Powder. Beam's Dream Powder contains a powerful, all-natural blend of ingredients, including magnesium L-theanine. It's not just your run-of-the-mill sleep aid. It's a concoction carefully crafted to help you slip into the sweet embrace of rest without the grogginess that often accompanies other sleep remedies. Sleep is the foundation of our mental and physical health. You must have a consistent nighttime routine to function at your best. Today, my listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder. It's their best-selling hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Now available in delicious flavors like cinnamon cocoa, chocolate, peanut butter, and mint chip. Better sleep has never tasted better. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before bedtime. If you find yourself battling those bedtime blues, give it a shot. Your weary self will thank you. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Ben. Use code Ben at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Ben. Use code Ben for up to 40% off. Again, that is shopbeam.com/Ben. Use code Ben for up to 40% off. I've been talking about my Helix mattress for years. I've had my Helix mattress, I know, almost a decade at this point. I love it. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the only thing maybe keeping me alive at this point because I'm not a great sleeper, but Helix Sleep allows me to sleep. Helix is now introducing their newest, most high-end collection, the Helix Elite collection. Helix Elite harnesses years of extensive mattress expertise to offer a truly elevated sleep experience. That Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for a specific sleep position and firmness preference. Go to helixsleep.com/Ben. Check out the brand new collection today. If you're nervous about buying a mattress online, you don't have to be because they've got a sleep quiz, matches the mattress to your body type. I did it. You can do it. It's great. Plus, Helix has a 10-year warranty. You can try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it but I'm not sure that has ever happened. Helix is currently offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for my listeners today. Go to helixsleep.com/Ben. This is their best offer yet. It's not going to last long. With Helix, better sleep starts right now. Again, 20% off all mattress orders, 2 free pillows for my listeners. Go check them out right now. helixsleep.com/Ben. Apparently, according to ABC News last night, Chinese President Xi Jinping told President Joe Biden directly at their recent summit that China will reunify with Taiwan. It was unclear whether Beijing plans to use force in its efforts to reunify with Taiwan, but Xi indicated they will try at first to do so peacefully. Key words there being at first. Xi has said as much publicly. What is noteworthy is that he said this so bluntly to the president at a summit intended to thaw their relations. And John Kirby told reporters, quote, I'm not going to get into specifics of the discussion between the two leaders. I think you can understand I'm not going to read out that private conversation. He said, President Xi has been public and clear about his desires for reunification. That's not something different or new. We have been clear, and the president was clear with you guys, and with President Xi, we still adhere to the one China policy. We don't support independence for Taiwan. We also don't support a change in the status quo unilaterally, and certainly not one by force. And as the president has said, there's no reason for this to come to blows. Asked about whether U.S. involvement in 2 other global conflicts, Ukraine and Gaza, alters its previous commitment to defend Taiwan from any Chinese military action, Biden reiterated in November the U.S. position in favor of the one China policy, which is basically just, let's not talk about this. The one China policy is like, sure, Taiwan is part of the one China policy, and also if you attack Taiwan, we'll defend it probably. It's strategic vagueness. Biden said, look, I reiterate what I've said since I've become president, and what every previous president of late has said, that we maintain an agreement. There's a one China policy. I'm not going to change that. That's not going to change. And so that's about the extent to which we discussed it. Apparently, in a readout of the summit, China said, quote, Xi Jinping elaborated on his principled position on the Taiwan issue and pointed out the Taiwan issue has always been the most important and sensitive issue in Sino-U.S. relations. China attached importance to the relevant positive statements made by the United States at the Bali meeting. China will be unified and inevitably will be unified. According to U.S. military intelligence, Xi has been instructing his military to be ready by 2027 to invade Taiwan. That obviously is a timeline that could be moved up pretty dramatically if Xi senses global weakness by the West, an unwillingness to use, for example, naval power in pursuit of the freedom of the seas. That could continue to be a serious problem. And it goes also to a general belief in the United States that we can randomly sort of cut off our own military without real consequence to the American people. We spend too much money, we should be more isolationist, and all of the rest. That is, in fact, also a massive problem. When it comes to American underinvestment, that is particularly true with regard to the Navy. The Navy does the biggest share of the lifting when it comes to war making, ensuring freedom of trade. I did a recent facts episode all about this. You can go check it out on YouTube. But the Navy represents about 23% of our annual military budget. That's lower than both the Army and the Air Force. Not only that, the U.S. has fewer operating naval carriers today than it did 4 decades ago. The U.S. Navy keeps talking about growing while shrinking, relying on better technology to make up for lack of ships. One of the things that we have seen historically with U.S. military policy is whenever the U.S. military is like, we'll do it fewer but better, that tends to work out not particularly well, whether you're talking about the occupation of Iraq or whether you're talking about in Vietnam using much more military technology, but doing graduated escalation. That doesn't actually work. You need lots of ships in the water to challenge the Chinese, who have 355 ships. Now, they do have what they call a gray water navy, meaning that they are really relegated to coastal areas to do serious battle. But the thing is, the Taiwan Straits for them, that's basically a coastal battle. Admiral Charles Richard, commander of U.S. Strategic Command, said in 2022, as I assess our level of deterrence against China, the ship is slowly sinking. It's sinking slowly, but it is sinking, as fundamentally, they're putting capability in the field faster than we are. As those curves keep going, it isn't going to matter how good our operating plan is, or how good our commanders are, or how good our forces are. We're not going to have enough of them. That is a very near-term problem. Undersea capabilities is still the one true asymmetric advantage we have against our opponents, but unless we pick up the pace in terms of getting our maintenance problems fixed, getting new construction going, if we can't figure that out, we're not going to put ourselves in a good position to maintain strategic deterrence and national defense, unquote. And so, again, when Xi is threatening Taiwan, the reason he is doing that is because if the United States and its allies can't even deter the Houthis, then how are you going to deter a massive military power like the Chinese? Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.